Alright, we have done so much work over the last week. Just go through it in chronological order. So over here we have our new sheep farm. It's the same principle as what was over here. However, this was really messy and it wasn't actually working that well. So decided to swap it out, move them all over to a place where I know I'm going to build a building, which is here. And essentially, it's the exact same farm, just bigger, and it has all the wool types, which is nice. So we're getting lots of wool, different colors of wool, which is great for building in color. Anyway, moving on. You can tell that this place is really clean now. So I got rid of all the farms, almost all of them. I'm still working on taking these down. But this was the leftover of the sugarcane and the wool farms. Over here, I think this is the cactus farm / wheat farm. Same with this. We tore down all the buildings. Pumpkin and melon farm. So now all that's left is the portal, the iron farm, and these villages. But that leads us to the next farm that I built, which is over in the end. So let's go ahead and jump to that. Here we are in the end, and this is like part one of the 2 parts of this farm. So this right here is a gravity block duper, and the way this works is, if I flick it on, so what this does is, there's a little delay for technical reasons, which then sends a pulse to this here, and this triggers 2 things. It triggers this scaffolding line and this scaffolding line at different times. So the bottom one is triggered first, and there's a line of observers looking at the scaffolding. And when it senses the trapdoor moving up and down, obviously that's a change in the block state. And so this goes from being overhanging to not overhanging, and the block picks that up. And they're still overhanging, but they have a shorter distance, which the observer also picks up. And it's the same for the bottom line, but the bottom line triggers first, and then the upper one goes first. And basically, there's a piston underneath which pushes the block up, and then obviously the top line triggers a little later, and this piston pushes it forward. And so, because these walls are here, it stops the sand from flying off this way and not duping. But what happens is the game glitches, essentially, and the block is teleported to the overworld, but it also lands back here because of the wall. And so the game freaks out and it duplicates it. So now there's, instead of being 1 concrete powder, there's 2, but one's in the overworld. And it just keeps doing that. This is a farm designed by Ianxofour. He's a brilliant Minecrafter. He has a lot of simple farms for things that would otherwise be incredibly complicated. Ooh. And I highly recommend you go check him out if you're playing in Java Minecraft, which is what this is. I should have told you earlier. This is Java Minecraft. I do have a few client-side mods. Hopefully you guys are okay with that. If you're not, let me know. I also have some resource packs, and obviously shaders are on. If you guys don't like that, I can turn that off. But anyway, let's go to part 2. So ooh, it's a little spooky outside. Let's sleep first. Part 2 is where the duped concrete powder or sand or whatever you put in the duper is brought to the world spawn, which is here. What happens, because this is in spawn chunks, it's loaded constantly, so we don't have to worry about the redstone not working, but we also don't want a TNT duper running all the time. So what happens is when the blocks are placed, when they're duped and brought to the overworld, they're brought here, and when the blocks are 4 high, they interact with a wall, and the observer picks it up. And there's an explosion. And so, that is done... Well, there's a few parts, actually. Let's go back here. So, the observer picks up the wall, and it sends a redstone signal down this, redstone elevator, which pushes the pistons forward, making space for new blocks to come. And the way that the redstone machine and the end is timed, it's done so that the blocks are placed 5 at a time. Well, not 5 at a time, 5 in a row before it repeats again. And by the time it reaches here, these pistons have already pushed. So when the new block comes in, it just goes back down there. So you don't have a massive pillar all the way up there, which is very handy. Now, if you just wanted concrete powder, you could remove these water-logged leaves and disconnect the TNT duper, and they'd just get pushed onto the mud block. And because mud block is not a full block, the gravity blocks will break when it lands on it, and it just gets swept in there. But when the observer picks up this change in state here, it also sends a signal into the piston and up here. So piston gets pushed up, and these repeaters are these are a clock basically, and the clock is not active, so this observer won't get powered until that signal is picked up and the piston pushes this concrete up. And what that does is completes the circuit, the timer circuit, and it also triggers this observer, which triggers a piston over here, which I actually don't know what this does. I'll be honest. This is a bit of Ianxofour magic, because this is just a regular piston. Oh, I know what this does. This pushes the TNT into a fence, causing it to dupe. And then there's a piston on the other side that gets pushed into back into place. And because there's an observer there, it registers the change in block state, so it triggers this TNT and also powers the piston. I'm not sure how the TNT is duped. I know how the sand is duped. I don't know how the TNT is duped, but it works. Maybe go research that yourself. Maybe I should go research that. Be good learning. But anyway, TNT is dropped from a hole underneath over here. Let me get my spyglass. Over here. And it falls into a controlled explosion environment, which is these waterlogged leaves. So the concrete gets pushed along by the pistons, and you can see it gets pushed to just past the leaves, actually. But because it's waterlogged, these leaves here, the TNT doesn't blow up any of the contraption. But it does enough damage to the blocks right next to it, like the concrete there and on the other side, that they break and they fall into the water collection system. So waterlogging stops TNT from destroying blocks. We know this from like really old school TNT cannons. But yeah, as you can see, I've already run this for like, this was actually only for about 5 minutes, I'll be honest, and I've already used like half of this. But as you can see, gets collected in hoppers there, and we're using double hoppers so that the hoppers aren't overflowed if we run it for a long period of time, because hoppers can only move 2.5 items per second, I think it is, which is relatively slow when you're doing things like duping at incredibly fast speeds. Anyway, this is, I don't know whether this will be permanent or not, because I might do something in the spawn chunks. But it works, and so we're going to leave it here for a while, at least until I've probably finished the city, or got enough of gravel and sand and all the concrete powder and concrete to last for a while, and then we might take it down. But kudos to Ianxofour. I'll link his channel and the video in the description, and if I don't, comment it at me so I do. I'll leave it in a comment or something. Definitely go check out his channel. It's quite a lot of the farms that I use are from him. Anyway, what did I do next? I want to preface, this building is also not done. So like our starter base doesn't have an interior, this one's exterior isn't finished. It's just its basic shape. So yeah, let's fly into range and have a look. And here we go. It is a behemoth, especially compared to our initial first build. I mean, look at this thing, it's massive. Now, there's no decorations on this yet. It's literally just the shape, and that's to house the mob farm, because the mob farm was looking ugly. So I still need to do some shading, some texturing with other blocks. Currently it's all just built out of stone, black concrete, and andesite. I need to put in some decorations like air vents and AC and a radio tower or something. Yeah, and I also want to put some like neon signs, maybe. I'm not sure if that's the right type of sign, but I want to put a big sign along here with the company name. And so we have a big sign going up this pillar, and maybe one on the opposite side as well. And then, because this is our first larger scale building, I'm going to put the big letter 1 on this one, and a letter 1 on this side as well. Just to represent the first semi-mega build? I wouldn't call this mega build quite yet. It's very large, especially when you look at it compared to our first build, which is pretty big. But yeah, this is our mob farm. Pretty happy with its shape, and hopefully in the next episode we'll see it in its finished form with all its decoration and its shading, which will be awesome. Because if we look at it right now, I mean, it's really blending into our first build, which isn't great, especially if all of them were done like this. So yeah, we'll add some weathering, some like rain marks, and some rust or moss or something growing up the side here, and obviously the big glowing sign and AC and vents and some smoke. Maybe these could be smokestacks or something. But yeah, so that's the mob farm. That was a very quick overview of kind of the last week of what I've been doing. As you may have noticed, there's some slight changes to the video. Something like how these are labeled. You know, you can see the enchantments now. The blurring of the background whenever I go into the inventory. I recently updated Minecraft to 1.21. 1.21. So I've added a lot of client-side mods which hopefully help the performance of the game and also just the overall look. Like, I'm a big fan of this font, so I recently overhauled the font. You can see here, but we actually have quite a lot. These are all client-side, so they don't change how the game runs or anything. There's no new blocks or redstone capabilities or anything. This is all client-side, and let me know if you're okay with it. If not, I can get rid of them and we can go back to pure vanilla. But yeah, just kind of quality of life things. Yeah. There is also one thing that I haven't used yet, but it is invisible item frames. I know that's kind of part of the base game, but kind of not as well. But we'll tackle that when we get to it, whether you guys are happy with that or not. All of this, of course, will be included in the world download when we finish this city. So you won't have to worry about installing all of these. The most you'll have to do is install Fabric for whatever version of Minecraft we're playing at that time. And I'll put out a video so that if you guys don't know how to do that and you want to know how to do that, you can just follow along with that. But yeah, this leads me to now, where we are at the moment. So during the process of taking down all these farms and building some new ones, I started to realize that I'm going to need slime soon. And instead of doing the traditional find a slime chunk and mine it to bedrock and then do all that. That's too much work for me. I'm too lazy for that. So I know we do have a slime chunk down here, but yeah, too much work. I don't have a beacon yet, so that would just be like a whole day of me digging, which would be really boring for me and not a lot of fun for you guys. Yeah, a slime chunk down here. This is a slime chunk. So instead, I thought we should go and find a trial chamber, which is the new feature that Minecraft has added in this latest update. And also, there's another use for the trial chambers, which is slime. So slimes can actually spawn in there, and although it's not a lot, it is enough to get a slime farm started with the new potions that they've added into the game called oozing potions. Basically what those potions do is they're a splash potion, effect potion, and when a mob is hit with the effect, I think it's when they die, upon death, a mob will spawn 2 slimes. I think they're medium-sized ones. Those slimes actually do drop loot. So you have potentially 8 slime balls from one mob, which has been hit with that. So if you pair that with, I think it's a laze which can continuously take drown damage, you basically have a slime farm that runs only for 4 minutes, which is very nice, but gives you lots and lots and lots of slime. So we're going to go ahead and find a trial chamber, and we're going to go ahead and tackle that. I think that'll be in the next episode though. So we'll go ahead and find it today and then tackle it in the next episode. Alright, let's get to it.